Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by Kalshi. Use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. I'm Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on this Monday. Draft signing deadline is coming up today. Trade deadline is coming up next week. Previewing the series as Brewers go out west here, and another fresh trade rumor from over the weekend. But before we get to all that on today's show, got to get to the weekend that was here against the Colorado Rockies. Brewers take 2 out of 3 in this series. They dropped the opener when they played on Friday afternoon. You had the alumni game, which was super fun. But the Brewers themselves, maybe a little bit distracted. Pat Murphy kind of lamented the distractions that came from it. Playing that game in the middle of the afternoon on a Friday, which is unusual for the team. And just kind of all the other players in the clubhouse, things like that, distracting the guys from the actual game. That's how Pat Murphy put it. I think it was a very fun event for the fans. Randy Wolf, of all people, is the one who hits the big home run. 49-year-old Randy Wolf hits a home run in the alumni game off Doug Davis. And it was a fantastic event. Randy Wolf obviously wins MVP of the alumni game, so he gets like the 6-foot-tall trophy. I'm pretty sure this trophy was as tall as he was. So Randy Wolf gets it, but the alumni game certainly seemed like a lot of fun. I mean, you get a lot of the old guys back. You get Ryan Braun back in there. You get Richie Sexson. You get Corey Hart, Bill Hall, a whole ton of great former Brewers being able to come in and just kind of reminisce with each other. So it was a really cool, fun event, but the Brewers themselves did not play well that day. Kind of similar to the Alumni Home Run Derby last year. But hey, then the Brewers bounced back and they get the wins on Saturday and on Sunday. Jacob Misiorowski just absolutely shoving 104-mile-an-hour fastballs down the throats of Colorado Rockies hitters. He struck out 12 of the first 13 batters he faced, including the first 7 in a row to start the game, which set a new franchise record. So Miz looked fantastic once again. And the Brewers end up winning big time over the Rockies on Sunday. The Brewers hit 9 doubles in that game, which tied a franchise record. They've done that 6 times now. They've hit 9 doubles in the game. Have not ever hit 10, but they've hit 9 doubles 6 times, which is kind of insane. But still, so the Brewers get themselves a nice big couple of wins here over the weekend. Lance McCullers gets designated for assignment. He pitched on Saturday, tried to finish out the game, and struggled to put away the Rockies despite having a 6-run lead, and then was subsequently designated for assignment after just his second outing with the Brewers. Garrett Stallings recalled. I would have thought Lance McCullers might have gotten a little bit more leash, just with his track record, his experience, but the Brewers, had to make a tough decision, as Pat Murphy put it. And they end up letting Lance McCullers go after just a couple of outings. So Colton Gordon was really kind of the target in that trade all along for the Brewers. So, Lance McCullers was just kind of a throw-in kind of salary dump almost to that deal. But they get a couple of games out of him, not a ton. But Lance McCullers has been sent on his way there. All right. So, that was one trade that one player's already gone from, but trade deadline is coming up in a week, so where else could the Brewers go? Some more rumors circulating over the weekend that connected the Brewers to C.J. Abrams, the shortstop for the Washington Nationals, with reports from The Athletic indicating that the Brewers had conversations with the Nationals about C.J. Abrams over last offseason, and they are expected to, kind of rekindle those talks here heading into the trade deadline, as the Washington Nationals are open for business on players like C.J. Abrams. So they will consider those kinds of trades. C.J. Abrams, a controllable player up the middle, playing shortstop. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that he holds intrigue here. It's a very tough market for hitters at the trade deadline this year. So C.J. Abrams being 25 years old and having 2.5 years of team control left, I think is also a very appealing thing. But and you look at the numbers, and he's having a fantastic season, continuing to hit home runs, 79 RBIs, 17 steals. He's got, I think he's got 25. I think he's up to 26 home runs now, or something like that. Hitting nearly 300, just an absolutely fantastic hitter. Okay, so you plug him into the middle of your lineup, you're instantly feeling so much better about your lineup. So that is great. 2.5 years of control. It's going to cost you quite a bit in order to get him. But the Brewers were interested last offseason, and so the reporting is that the Brewers would stand to be interested again here. Now, my question is, how much does the emergence of Cooper Pratt here change that possibility? Because the Brewers kind of knew the left side of their infield was going to be a problem heading into this year last offseason. Okay? They knew Joey Ortiz was not cutting it offensively at shortstop. They knew that Caleb Durbin at the time, and it's like, okay, kind of limited-ish ceiling there, I think, and they're willing to move off him. But you got David Hamilton you're coming into the season with. It's like, okay, how confident do you feel in Joey Ortiz, David Hamilton, and then ultimately Luis Rengifo being your options on the left side of the infield? You kind of figured there might be some changes made there. So you understand why the Brewers were interested before, but now, how much are the Brewers really going to be giving up big-time prospect capital in order to get a guy like C.J. Abrams? When you have Cooper Pratt, who has been playing very well here in the month of July, Joey Ortiz, who has been playing very well in the month of July, anytime he's playing at third base, he's playing well. I mean, he had another 2 extra base hits on Sunday, had a triple and then a double. So Joey Ortiz is playing well. That doesn't mean you couldn't upgrade off of Joey Ortiz, because who knows how long this hot streak is going to last for him. He doesn't exactly have a great track record of producing consistently as a hitter. Cooper Pratt also, I mean, kind of a short track record here. He has a rookie just called up a little bit ago, but he's a highly touted prospect. He's someone that you've signed to a $50 million deal long term. So you think now that he's kind of taken over that job, they're not going to just be like, oh, let's actually bring in another player to take over shortstop for the next 2.5 years, when you already signed Pratt to that $50 million deal. You have Jesus Made and Luis Pena coming up behind. You got Jet Williams in there as well. You got a bunch of other shortstops filling out that infield. What's the point of acquiring all these shortstops and signing one of them to a big-time deal just to then acquire some other shortstop for the next 2.5 seasons? I don't think that would make much sense. Now, maybe the Brewers could put Abrams over at third base. That could be the possibility and the way that they would look there. But I'm not really sold that this is going to be something that ends up coming to fruition here for the Brewers. Now, per the original reporting, the Brewers balked at the Nationals' lofty asking price last offseason. Okay, so they discussed it. They're like, no, you're asking too much. And so now, with Abrams having a career season, I would imagine the Nationals, once again, are going to be asking for quite a bit. The Nationals just got Connolly early from the Red Sox for Curtis Mead. I mean, if Curtis Mead is getting you that much, I mean, what is C.J. Abrams going to get you? My goodness. So I have a feeling that asking price is going to remain lofty, and it's going to keep the Brewers out of that market. I have a hard time seeing the Brewers making that move with Pratt now getting settled in at shortstop. If he was really struggling, and maybe if Abrams was a rental, then I could see it. Like, okay, get someone to kind of help you finish out the season, help teach Pratt a little bit, and get him ready for next year. But that really doesn't seem to be how the situation is playing out here. So, C.J. Abrams, I love the idea of adding that bat to this lineup, but given the way that the Brewers operate, I'm not really convinced that this is a move that the Brewers would do at this time. I could be wrong, but it's going to be a high price to pay. The Brewers don't like paying high prices. If they do it for position players with multiple years of team control. But They are loaded at shortstop in their system. So the urgency to make a trade for CJ Abrams isn't necessarily there for them. So, but that is something to keep an eye on as this trade deadline unfolds here over the next week. And there's certainly going to be a lot of things unfolding over on Kalshi as well, because on Kalshi you can trade every single game. And look, I mean, the Brewers, they're taking on, I mean, they just took on the Rockies. Jacob Mizorowski, 10 plus Ks on Sunday just felt super easy, and he got that by the freaking fourth inning. Again, just lighting up these Colorado Rockies. It was unfair, almost, what he was doing. But now the Brewers taking on the San Francisco Giants here. And for this game, look, I'm feeling pretty confident about the Brewers once again as well. The Giants are bad. They have been bad all season, and they're going to remain being bad. So I think the Brewers are going to take things pretty firmly in hand here, and I think the Brewers are going to win by over 1.5 runs, which is currently trading at 45% on Kalshi, which means a $100 trade pays out $214 with a win. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get started, or to get $10 when you trade 10, KALSHI, Kalshi, trade on anything. I was kind of pointing at the promo code with my wrong finger there. Anyways, deadline for draft picks. That is today. And as expected, it is coming down to the wire for some of these guys. The Brewers have 5 remaining unsigned draft picks officially. And Aiden Knack in the 5th round is the biggest one and the most important one, I think, because if the Brewers do not sign him, they lose that slot money. They lose that bonus pool money for him. And they cannot use it to spread around to the other players in that rounds 13 through 16 range. Now, there was this report from Jim Callis of MLB.com the other day that Aiden Knack might be the most uncertain to sign of the remaining players in the top 10 rounds. So that is a little bit concerning. Whether or not the Brewers can get the Clemson pitcher into the pro ranks. They probably are competing with big-time NIL money there for Clemson and trying to bring Knack back to campus for one more year. But still, I mean, 5th round pick. How do you not sign? Wild to me. But hey, that's what guys are doing nowadays. So that's something that the Brewers have to compete with a little bit. So we will see what happens with Aiden Knack, but it's hard to really kind of tell if the rest of those guys, rounds 13 through 16, are going to be able to go, and if they're going to be able to sign, if the Brewers can't get something across the finish line with Knack, because they will not know how much money they have left. Because if they lose that slot money, it completely changes everything. Now, I did see a report here that 13th rounder Carson Hart, the outfielder out of Mankato East High School, he changed his Instagram bio. Kudos to Spencer Michaelis on this one. That he found that he changed his Instagram bio, tagging at Brewers in his bio. So generally, that's going to mean that you're going to sign. So that would be a good indicator there for Carson Hart, the high school outfielder. But then the Brewers also have Dante Bell the second, Keaton Majorana, and Braden Havard in their other unsigned late round draft picks that they still have to kind of decide who all they will end up signing. And again, this is likely going to be coming down to the wire here today. This is kind of as expected. It's how the Brewers have operated with these rounds 11 through 20 high school picks. They take it right down to the end. They see how much money they have left, and they just try and use as much of it as they possibly can. It's a smaller bonus pool this year that the Brewers have that they're working with, but is going to come down to the wire. But the big question mark at this point is Aiden Knack in the 5th round, whether or not the Brewers will be able to get him to sign. His slot value is $425,000. So if he doesn't sign, you lose that out of your bonus pool. So that is a whole lot less money you have available to pay those guys in the later rounds. If the Brewers are going above slot on on any of them, which so far they haven't really done much of here. They've gotten some of these other guys to sign without dipping into the bonus pool money. And perhaps that was part of the strategy, knowing they could get some of these guys for 150K and save some money on it. But they used quite a bit of their savings on Sawyer Strasnyder and Julian Garcia. So that's where they went over slot. So we will see what ends up happening at the end here today. But Aiden Knack is the one to watch. All right. Now the Brewers have another series here. They have finished up their homestand. They are going out on the road now. It's a West Coast swing. So that means late night games. We're staying up late to watch this one. Brewers going out taking on the Giants this week. So that's going to be the series. And they're taking on the Los Angeles Angels after that. So that's what the Brewers have coming up. And since Jacob Mizorowski and Brandon Sproat have kind of been flip-flopping the last couple of times. Mizorowski going on Sunday. That means Brandon Sproat gets the start here today. For the Brewers, he'll be going up against right-hander Tyler Mahle. For the Giants, this is a battle of guys with an ERA over 5. Brandon Sproat at 5.09. Tyler Mahle at 5.31 for his ERA with a 2-9 record on the season. So banger of a pitching matchup coming up on this one here tonight. And then Tuesday, Logan Henderson on the bump for the Crew, 4-1 with a 3.05 ERA. Landon Roop is starting for the Giants, right-hander, 7-8 with a 3.93 ERA. And then on Wednesday, the finale in the afternoon against the Giants, that is going to be left-hander Shane Drowan on the mound for the Crew, 5-4 with a 3.51 ERA. Going up against the longtime ace there for the Giants, Logan Webb, who's 5-7 on the season with a 3.98 ERA. So he hasn't been having a fantastic season over there. He kind of called out some reporters on Twitter and then deleted his Twitter account, or X account, I guess, and kind of deleted that. It hasn't really been going well over there in San Francisco. They're 44-61. But hey, I mean, you'll get to see old friend Willy Adames. He's out there for the Giants, and that's always going to be fun to see. But you're out there in his house now. But you got Rafael Devers over there as well, Luis Arraez, Helio Ramos, Bryce Eldridge, a really good young player. So I mean, they got some names in that group for sure, but they just have not been playing very well at all this season. So they're sitting in 4th place in the NL West, just ahead of the Colorado Rockies, who the Brewers took 2 of 3 from. So they're sitting at a 0.2% chance to make the playoffs. They're basically all but out of it over there. So chance for the Brewers to continue to try and gain some ground here in the NL Central. Currently, they're sitting 7 games up on the Chicago Cubs. So just trying to keep them at arm's length there as the Brewers keep on chugging and trying to get back and make it a 4-peat in the NL Central. But we'll be breaking all of that down in the days ahead here. We'll also be looking at all these trade rumors and other potential targets for the Brewers because it is trade deadline week. We are coming up on it. August 3rd is the trade deadline. It's coming up faster than you think. So we'll be seeing some moves come in hot and heavy as much as we can. And we'll be breaking it down as quickly as we can here on Brewers Daily, but also on X at dgasper24. You can follow me there. I'll have some more instant breakdowns of trades and stuff there as well, because these things can pop at any moment, but we'll be breaking it all down. This is a very exciting time of year. I'm very excited for it. So be here with me for all of it as we break it all down. Appreciate all of you watching and listening, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.